you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I gotta say is, who that?
Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones, and yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And my, oh my, do we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. But I really do appreciate you all for being here. And I'm extremely excited about this show. This edition, because I have a special guest with me here on the State of the Saints podcast, man. If you are on social media and you're a part of what people call Saints Twitter, you definitely know this individual. He always keeps us laughing. He always keeps us thinking. And he has a really good show. This is More Than a Game podcast that you can find on YouTube and other platforms as well. Good friend of mine, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jono Barnes. Jono, how you doing, man?
I'm good, TJ. Before we get started, let me drink some of my This Shit More Than the Game secret energy. It's early in the morning. That's early in the morning, you know. That you can purchase. You know, they say the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. We have your This Shit More Than the Game certified. The best part of waking up, some This Shit More Than the Game in your cup.
Hey, look, absolutely, man. And you definitely can buy that merchandise, we'll make sure that we let everybody know how they can get their hands on the cup, as well as other merchandise that you have. Man, let's go ahead and start from there. Man, before we even talk about the Saints, like what made you come up with that slogan, man? I mean, it's pretty much everywhere now. You know, people have invested, in the merchandise that you're selling, but where's the master? Like, what was the thought pattern behind coming up with that slogan?
All right, I'm gonna be quick because I know people want to talk about the Saints, so I will be quick about making the show not just about Jono Barnes, but when it comes to This Shit More Than the Game, what I love about it, TJ, is it was organic. Like, it wasn't something where I sat at this marketing table with family or anything to say, "Hey, man, what slogan or anything can we use to like make my brand stronger?" I was doing a skit, ironically, on the Pelicans. And I said, it's more than a damn game. And a lot of people were responding in the comments saying, yeah, you're right. It's more than a game down here, Jono. This was during the Pelicans playoff run against the Suns in 2022 and then 2023. And then the next skit I did, because I was doing like a skit for every game in that playoff series, I said, this shit more than a game. And the fans loved it. And I was like, yeah, you know what? And it came out organically. Like, again, I didn't like plan it out or anything like that. I literally just said it out loud. And it shows how authentic and organic This Shit More Than the Game is, which is why I take great pride that it has become its own brand in itself. I'm the avatar for it, but it is a lifestyle here in New Orleans, Louisiana. And it holds a bit of a sentimental value to me because my big bro, who is now my guardian angel, was in the skit when I first said this shit more than the game. So I can always look back on the first time I said it and see my big bro in that skit, who has since sadly left us for the great beyond, the great above, and say, hey, maybe he's putting some strains up there to make this become what it has become. I love that it resonates so much with people in New Orleans, Louisiana, even outside of the Louisiana area. And it's become more than I ever thought it would be. And as TJ, you and I are wrestling fans, right? So as time went along, I was like, oh, this could be my, because Stone Cold said so. This could be my, if you smell what the rock is cooking. Like, this shit more than the game is kind of like my catchphrase, but it's also a lifestyle for everybody in New Orleans and Louisiana, and I'm glad to be the avatar behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it's synonymous with you, and And it's also like it's just very catchy, man. Like, and I know your brother is looking down proud, man, of the work that you're putting in, and just the person that you are and the things that you're doing, man. And we both are fans of the New Orleans Saints, man. We both grew up in the city, and right now, man, this team is going through a transition. Like we kind of seen the Saints kind of go through the motions as a squad, growing up. But now it just seems like they're just trying to figure things out. There's a lot of Saints fans that, got their own thoughts about where the team is going versus some that may feel like they're going in a completely different direction. But we're going to get into like some of the moves that they made. We got to start with the most recent ones. The Saints bringing back Isaac Yiadom with a 3-year, $9 million deal. Jono, I mean, he played really well when he was with the Saints the first time around. I can remember when Marshawn Lattimore was out. They put him in. I'm talking Yiadom, and man, he really stepped up, and he made Saints fans kind of upset when he left and went to the San Francisco 49ers. So what is your thoughts on the Saints bringing back Isaac Yiadom?
He didn't have as strong of a season in San Francisco last year as he had in 2023 with the New Orleans Saints, and it makes me wonder. One thing I will give Dennis Allen, TJ, is I always said, for as much as we were not fans of him as the head coach, as a defensive mind, he was great. He always had our secondary, no matter the injuries or whatnot, balling. So I want to see, was it Dennis Allen who made some of these guys stars? Like the lesser name players, or were they really ballers and they can just, some players just excel in certain situations and areas better than other places. Yeah. I think it's a good contract, so I'm not going to be like, oh, man, what you mean we bring back Isaac? No, I think that he has the potential to be a very solid piece for our defense, especially with Brandon Staley. I think Brandon Staley has a good mind for defensive players as well, so I'm not excited about, I'm not like, oh, God, we got, like I was with Justin Reed, but it's a solid depth piece. I know, like, fans were saying, oh, man, we got to rebuild, so, like, every free agent signing we have, they're like, where are we signing this guy? I mean, well, you got to have 52 people on the roster, right? Like you can't have me and you lining up out there at quarterback. I'll take it, I'll take the $1 million. But
for real,
I'm good with the signing for that one, TJ. A good depth piece. Hey, we always, for whatever reason, deal with injuries on this team. So Lord knows we'll probably be counting on him at some point. And it's a cheap deal for NFL cheap. So it should be an interesting move to see if he continues to excel here in New Orleans, even with a new defensive mind like Brandon Staley.
Yeah, I like the move. I think that this just, gives the Saints some depth, a veteran to come in. And I mentioned this on the last episode of the State of the Saints. I said they need to bring in maybe a veteran if they are going to draft another young cornerback. At least you will have that veteran that has the experience, just in case that cornerback that you draft may not be ready to be that every down guy. At least you have somebody that's pretty stable. And I question, his, the decision only by this. Like you look at like Isaac Yiadom, I look at him almost like as a man coverage type cornerback, and I look at Brandon Staley's defense. It's not going to call for so much man. So I'm just wondering like how would that be able to fit? But I think that he's a solid player. He's a physical player. He's not afraid to make tackles, and he's not afraid to get it into the face of a wide receiver. So he checks all those boxes. Just the only thing I'm just wondering is the scheme fit, because you look at like him being around Brandon Staley with the San Francisco 49ers and, all that time, and he wasn't the same. So I'm just wondering like, how would he look in the Saints uniform under Brandon Staley this time around? That's my only question marks. Will he be able to adapt to this new defensive system?
And I wonder, do we put Alante back at the slot? Because I feel like Alante was balling in the slot last season. Then we had to bring him back to the outside. I mean, whatever we do with Alante, I want him to be there for the whole year. Like, I don't want to keep switching him around. Like, I feel like it stunts his growth when, 8 games he's playing in the slot. Then the 8 games because injuries, we got to put him back on the outside. Like, put him in the spot so that he can focus on that spot, because I still believe in Alante Taylor. And whether they believe that his peak will be at the outside or whether it's in the slot, just make a decision and stick with it. And if it is in the slot, well, then you're looking at Isaac and Kool-Aid, unless we draft the cornerback, or maybe we still sign another one. You never know. As our 2 outside guys. Like you said, Brandon had Isaac last year. I'm going to give Brandon a clean slate. Like, again, I know that Isaac didn't have as strong of a season with Dennis Allen, but I think Dennis Allen arguably is the best secondary mind in the NFL. Again, I know it's almost sacrilegious to compliment Dennis Allen, but he is what he is when it comes to his strengths. And he made cornerbacks look real. The way Sean Payne made any quarterback damn near look good, Dennis Allen made damn near any secondary player look good. So, like I said, it's not like you said, a high contract. So even if he's just not ever going to be what he was in 2023, this is not the type of contract that sets the New Orleans Saints back like some of the other contracts. So you can live with it and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, just a familiar face. The organization recognizes him. The coaching staff recognizes him when it comes to Brandon Staley. So I thought it was a good match. But I'm going to go ahead and look at some of these comments, Jono. We're going to go with Jerry. Jerry says, I know we're all family friendly here, but on this day, this shit more than a game.
TJ, can I say, I told you this on my show when you were gracious to give me your time to come on my platform. I am impressed that no matter what time of the day, you always have at least over 100 people watching on YouTube. That's not even counting the Twitter views. Like, that is, again, I hope you get your flowers, bro. Like, what you have built is something special. Like, I get excited when I have 50 people watching my show at any point. You get 100, you could go on live at 4 a.m., TJ, and you have 100 people watching. That's how much of a foundation of an audience you have. I'm impressed, my guys. So flowers to you, my guy.
Look, man, I can't really take credit for that. I just take credit. I just look at all of the great people who take the time out to invest in this show, man. And like, that's why I say, man, I'm just extremely appreciative, man, that people want to stop by and talk football with me anytime I want to do it. And I think I got the Jono Barnes rub anyway. When that's it. Like, Jono gonna be on the show. Jono gonna be on
here. No, I think it's the other way. Look at my numbers when you was on my show, brother. Peak numbers for me. You the man, TJ. You got the juice, TJ. You got the juice.
I appreciate the Who Dat Nation, man. And you know, it said CJ says TJ and Jono salute fellas. And Saints brung back Will Clapp. Now, on top
that's
of being
a move, TJ. That's a move that's great for me for the jokes alone. Like, some moves I'm just selfish about. Everybody was all mad about the Juwan Johnson move and asked me, Jono, how you feel about the move? I said, I'm gonna be honest, y'all. At the end of the day, I put Jono Barnes above everything in life. Okay, so I know Juwan Johnson may not be worthy of $28 million contract. Not that I'm counting anybody's pockets. I said every player get your money. But I'm like, I met Juwan Johnson during Super Bowl week. I got to kick it with him and his lovely wife. He told me he was going to come on the show. I said, that's a great move for Jono Barnes, that Juwan Johnson is staying with the Saints. Will Clapp, the memes write itself, TJ. I'm excited that Will Clapp is back. That is a great move for Jono Barnes. We'll see what it means for the New Orleans Saints, I guess.
I could not imagine in a million years that just a person's name alone, like when people like look at like, I guess like an attractive woman or something, for those that don't know, right? You know, like if somebody put up an attractive woman on social media or something, all of a sudden they'll just put up a picture of Will Clapp. Yeah, like, and it just takes a life of his own.
If you know, you know, huh?
If you know, you know. But man, look. But former LSU Tiger, man, he was always a rotational guy. Spent some time on the West Coast with the Chargers, and now he's back with the Saints. It seems like this has been a reoccurring thing since Sean Payton has left. Louisiana natives, LSU Tigers, man. What do you think about the New Orleans Saints kind of going in that direction, man? I mean, Justin Reed, Dutchtown, right? You got Godshaw, he's from Plaquemines. And then you got a couple LSU Tigers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The Honey Badger. Yeah. So what do you think about this new move, man? Do you think that this helps like the appeal of the team and gets the team back into the good graces of the Who Dat Nation and Louisiana fans?
Realistically, I do not think the Saints say, "Oh, we're signing this player because he has Louisiana roots and we need PR." That's my unserious answer, is that they do that because, hey, of course, Louisiana fans are going to get excited whenever a homegrown kid comes and puts on the black and gold. I did it with Justin Reed on Tuesday. The real answer, I believe, is TJ. Louisiana produces some great football players. You can say that the best two wide receivers right now in the NFL went to LSU. You can say, arguably, on his best day, maybe one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Some may say the best quarterback in the league, if he ever gets the opportunity to have the pieces around him, went to LSU. LSU and Louisiana in general creates great, great players. So why would you not, when you live in Louisiana, your team is based in Louisiana, go in your own backyard and get some of these players to play for the New Orleans Saints? I understand that I feel like fans taking a little too far with saying that Sean Payton hated or went out his way to avoid like LSU players or Louisiana homegrown players. But at the same time, it was like, damn, Sean Payton, like there are some players that you kind of like skipped on for lesser players when they were right in our backyard. Like, why would you not take advantage of the fact that the Louisiana pipeline produces some incredible football players? Not that Will Clapp is like the standard of that. It's a great name, but Louisiana produces great players. Take advantage of your backyard. Dallas does it, and Houston with the Texas, football pipeline. We should be doing it more with the Louisiana pipeline. So I'm okay with us grabbing these Louisiana players because we make great football players. We play football down south, so let's take advantage of it.
Right. Well, I mean, it just didn't make sense, and I think it's a fair take for anybody that believed that he was a little bit discriminative towards Louisiana. Louisiana players, LSU players, because they didn't get them. Like, and it's so crazy. Like, I remember watching an interview with Patrick Queen, and he was talking about the Saints drafting him. He was like, I just knew that the Saints weren't going to draft me because they never draft LSU players. And then all of a sudden, as soon as Sean Payton leaves, we see Jarvis Landry on the team, Tyrann Mathieu on the team, Foster Martin. So all I'm saying is, I think sometimes Sean Payton overthinks things sometimes, and I think that he probably was concerned about those players playing in familiar areas, like by drafting them, right?
True.
Because you look at like somebody like Dez Bryant, right? Dez Bryant grew up in DeSoto, Texas, which is not far from Dallas at all. And the first couple of years of his career, he kind of struggled because he had one foot inside the facility and he had the other foot out there with his former life, and it got so bad to a point where they had to ask a coach on the team to allow Dez Bryant to stay with him. Yeah, he had to babysit him. So it's like maybe they were looking at something like that. But all I say is just do your homework, man. A lot of these guys are high like character guys. Like at the time, I will admit, like Tyrann Mathieu is probably was best that he moved to like Arizona to be alongside Patrick Peterson or be a mentor to him. But man, you look at guys like Foster Monroe, some of these got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like I feel like him being at home at that time with the things that he was going through, it probably would have made his life a little bit better. And some of the things that he had to go through, staying in Kansas City and all that, I feel like it probably would have made things a little bit better for him. So I don't know, man. I like that they actually grabbing those guys, but I think it has a lot to do with the Saints are now looking at how you're looking at it, Jono. Louisiana produces some really good, damn good football players, and now the New Orleans Saints get to reap the benefit of it. But they also signed another tight end. This guy came from – oh, yeah, go ahead, man.
I was going to say, you mentioned Tyrann Mathieu when he got drafted in 2013. I remember it was a big thing. Like, the Saints, the only team that for sure should not touch him because of Tyrann, which it probably long-term worked out. Tyrann probably would say, yeah, it was probably best for me to get out the state for a little bit, learn how to be a professional and whatnot. But at the same time, man, I believe in that draft, we took Vaccaro, who flashed every now and then, but certainly wasn't Tyrann Mathieu, right? And I remember that draft saying, look, man, I know Tyrann has his issues, but like he's a star. Why are we not drafting him? And that was like the picture perfect, I guess, example of like Sean Payton maybe overthinking. And now maybe in Tyrann's case, like you say, that was worthy of overthinking because of Tyrann needing to get his stuff together as a human before he could even handle playing in Louisiana. But that was one of the ones, TJ, where I was like, man, like we got a star player right there in our backyard who would sell you a ton of jerseys. Never mind from PR's perspective. Why are we not drafting him? It worked out for both teams, I guess. Carr did flash with us, but that's a good example, I believe. You're going to have your negatives and positives about that. I'm just glad that we do seem to be taking a more conscious approach to, taking players from our own backyard now.
Yeah. J-Rock says Louisiana is the most talented players per capita, along with Florida and Texas. Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, you got some dogs out here, man, and they have some very talented players that come out of the state of Louisiana and always have had some really good players, Hall of Fame players, man. But Jerry says not really on Jack Stoll. Like, okay, so the thing about so the Saints signed.
Come on, Jerry. Yeah, go ahead, TJ.
All right, so the Saints signed tight end Jack Stoll from the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a guy, he's 27 years old, 6'4", 247. He played at Nebraska. He was an undrafted rookie coming out. He played with Philadelphia back in 2021, then went to the Giants, back to Philly, and then the Miami Dolphins in 2024. But this is a guy that, I mean, I've watched, quite a bit. He's mostly good for his blocking. I think the Saints picked him up because they want to run the football. They want to establish the run. You bring back Jawan Johnson. You got Foster Moreau as more as a blocking tight end and a pass catcher. I'm just wondering what's going to happen with Dallin Holker, man. Like, this is a guy that I wanted to see could do something. I mean, he was at Colorado State. He was a really good above average blocker, and he was a really good pass catching tight end. So I'm just wondering what's going to happen with Holker here. But what are your thoughts about Jack Stoll coming over to the Saints? I mean, this is more of just a blocking tight end to help with the running game. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think if anybody has strong opinions on Jack Stoll, they need to seek a therapist because he's a body. And I'm not trying to diss the guy. He might play a huge role in Kellen Moore's offense. Every coach has like their guys, right? You mentioned Hooker. Well, that's one of the things when you bring in a new coach. Moore has no loyalty to Hooker. Moore has no loyalty to, if you really want to get spicy with it, Spencer Rattler. Like, those aren't his guys. Coaches usually come in and bring their guys that they're familiar with, that they say, oh, I know this guy can excel in the system that I'm about to bring to the team. I think Stoll will be that part. Now, does that guarantee him a spot? We'll see. Every coach has their favorites that aren't like sexy names, but like they know will do the dirty work that is needed for the offense to succeed. Stoll might be that guy. We'll see. He's not a name that's going to make any Saints fan or shouldn't make any Saints fan get excited positively or negatively. I've seen some of his highlights earlier today, and this was probably the first time I ever watched Jack Stoll highlights of his blocking. And he's like he's got that Trevor Penning asshole factor to him that I like where he punishes his guys. Like, he takes this shit more than the game to another level, which I love. So that I would definitely welcome to the team. It makes you wonder, though. There's only so many spots on the team. So, yeah, Hooker's spot is probably definitely in jeopardy. You also wonder, Taysom Hill, I hate to say that, and Foster Moreau both had some serious injuries in last season. Does Kellen Moore, is he counting on them going forward? Does this eliminate us? Not that, we would skip on Tyler Warren because we got Jack Stoll, but like, do the Saints say, well, we got enough depth at the tight end spot. We got more needs. We're in a spot in the draft that we can go for the best player available now, and we don't need to go for a tight end like Tyler Warren. It's going to be interesting to see because, as I told you on my show, I was very high on Tyler Warren, and after the offseason so far, it seems like we might be saying, no, we don't think tight end is a priority for other needs on this team right now, and we're going to be looking in different direction come draft time.
I'm glad you mentioned the draft, Jono, because the moves that they making me feel more and more like they about to draft a wide receiver. Like, and I'm getting excited because if T. McMillan there, the wide receiver out of Arizona, if he's there, if he's available, man, this could be what the Saints need, because it seems to me like they're trying to kind of shore up, I guess, a little bit of their starting roster, bringing back those usual suspects, right? And maybe adding some guys that can be those skill position guys. So I like Jack Stoll. Anybody that shows a level of physicality, some violence with them, with their game, put that muscle in, right? Yeah, that muscle. That muscle. I appreciate, and it also makes me feel good about the Saints possibly establishing a run, something that they wanted to do last season, but they kept on having issues on the offensive line. There is one offensive lineman that a lot of Saints fans are looking at that's still in free agency. He's connected to Kellen Moore, and that's Mekhi Becton. The Eagles made a move that indicates that they're not bringing back Becton. What are your thoughts about Mekhi Becton joining the New Orleans Saints, or do you feel like the Saints maybe need to consider drafting someone to add to that offensive line once again? Something they've done, I don't know, plenty of times in the first round.
I'm a believer in you build your team through the lines before anything. Now, if there's a great quarterback available in the draft or free agency, yeah, you take him. But you always start off by building through the lines. So I would be a very happy customer if Becton is a free agent signing. Now, I saw some like Adam Schefter on McAfee's show kind of like put in like a teaser or whatever saying like, Howie Roseman, he's going to surprise Eagles fans yet again and show his Howie magic. And I was like, well, is he alluding to somehow them still keeping Becton, even though they kind of made moves so far that seem to make you believe that Becton is not going to be an Eagle? I'm good with if we take Becton and free agency. I'm good if we decide to go offensive line. I know that's not going to be popular if we take offensive lineman with the number 9 pick in the draft, but you got to build on both lines of your team. So if Becton is a pick, I understand some fans' displeasure in the fact that it seems like TJ, not even it seems, it's confirmed at this point. We're running it back, right? Like Mickey Loomis is not a believer in tanking. He's not a believer in, I said on my show yesterday, some teams like to collapse the house from the roof to the foundation. Some teams like the Saints, we say, okay, we're just going to remodel one room at a time. That's our approach. We don't feel like we need to tear the house down to the studs. We just need to remodel a room here or there. Whether you think the approach is right or wrong, it's your prerogative. But a move like Becton is not something that whether you're on the side of tanking or rebuilding or on the side of running it back and continue to try to be a contender, you should not be negative to that move either way, because you need to build your team through the lines. The Eagles had a great line last year on both sides. Yeah. Becton was a great piece of that line. He would be great here in New Orleans. I'm all about getting our lines shored up on both sides so that when we ever really are ready to contend again, hopefully sooner than later, it'll be because we got our O-line and our D-line on point. So I will be very happy with the Becton signing if it happens. I just felt like it would have probably happened by now, TJ. Maybe I'm just being a heavy downer, but I feel like for a move like that, Mickey gets those moves done quickly rather than later. But you never know. You never know.
I mean, but what is the right and wrong way? I mean, I've heard different points of view when it comes to Mickey Loomis and the way that he's approaching the team and has approached the team throughout the years, not really looking at the team for what it is, it seems, kind of running it back, still trying to contend when, it seems like maybe you just need to hit the reset button. Are you for the moves that he's making right now? Do you think the Saints need to take a step back and look at the wall and make sure that the pitch is not crooked? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question. And I'm still, I feel like I change my mind every minute. I really do. Like you look at the 49ers. The 49ers actually have had success the past 4 years. And right now they are saying goodbye to fan favorite players. They are doing what Saints fans wanted. The Seahawks are essentially doing what the Saints fans wanted. Like they got rid of Metcalf. They got rid of Geno. They say, hey, we feel like we've reached our peak. It's not working out. We're going to rebuild the team essentially. Where Mickey goes with, no, I'm going to run it back. I feel like the team is competitive. I'm all about fielding a competitive team to try to win the division and seeing where you go from there, where fans are like, what are we doing? It's been 4 years now of no playoffs. A lot of our core guys are old. I had a mini viral tweet where I tweeted, one hand I'm saying, why are we not rebuilding? The second hand, I'm getting excited. Like, oh yeah, DeMario is back. Cam is back. Tyron is back. Taysom hopefully is back. Like, I love those guys. I never want to see them in any other uniform. That's why I'm glad I'm a fan and not a coach or a media analyst like yourself, TJ, because I'm all over the place. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. I think the answer is always you better draft well no matter what approach you take. And I keep saying that this draft this year is vital. We talked about this on my show, TJ. You even echoed my statements. It's a vital draft. We talked about how Sean Payne's first year, the Saints, he drafted Reggie Bush, Marcus Colston, Zach Strief, Roman Harper, like foundational players going forward, right? Like no matter what we did in free agency, we had a draft class that had our foundation of the team start to be built that way. Kellen Moore and Mickey and Jeff Ireland, they need to hit on the draft picks, not only this year, but probably next year too. But if we are, and we have decided to go the route of, hey, we're not rebuilding anything, we're going to just retool and see where it goes. Fine. I want to see what y'all do in the draft, and y'all better hit on these picks, TJ, whether that's the wide receiver who Cam Jordan echoed your statement yesterday. He said that's who he wants as well, McMillan. So maybe you might get your wish if Cam Jordan has any say. Whoever we take. And then in the later rounds too, we got 8 picks this year. I don't want to see no BS where, like, we trade 3 of our later round picks to move up in the 4th round because, we're 1 player away now. No, like, use these picks, man, to get some depth and try to find some foundational players. I don't need every pick to be an all-pro player. I would like for, like, the first 2 players to be Pro Bowl type players, but, like, in the 3rd round, in the 4th, and the 5th round, like, find some players who can be depth players going forward so that Kellen Moore can be set up for success.
Yeah.
It's 12:03 p.m. right now, and I'm saying, you know what? I can understand what Mickey's doing with, just saying that, no, we're not going to take. I can't expect the players to go out there and not give it their all. I don't expect Kellen Moore to go into the locker room and say, hey, y'all, sorry, we got to be shitty for 2 years so we can get Arch Manning or whatever. By 1:03 p.m., I might be like, what in the hell are we doing? God damn it, we should be taking. We're not going to win the playoffs. I don't know. I hope it works out, but they got to hit on their draft picks, and we'll see what happens. I think fans have every right to feel strong either way about how they're doing it. It hasn't worked out the past 4 years, but a lot of that is due to the fact that 3 main reasons, TJ. One is that we have not been great at drafting, which you need to be if you're going to like have some of these older players as your core positional players. 2, and this is the main thing probably actually, Mickey had a hard on for Dennis Allen. Like if you're going to have this approach, you better have a great head coach and a great quarterback, which is 3, Derek Carr's our quarterback. If you do this with Sean Payton and Drew Brees, you can have success, right? It's Sean Payton and Drew Brees.
Right.
Yeah, we can get away with whatever approach we do. When you're doing it with Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, and you're not drafting great, then yeah, suddenly your approach looks really, really stupid, and all those capologists and media nerds are saying, we told y'all that y'all approach was bad. Well, yeah, it's bad because Sean Payton and Drew Brees, not because the approach itself is bad. So they got to hit on their draft picks. We'll see about the quarterback situation. I already watched the show. I know you got strong opinions about that. And we will see also if Kellen Moore is that guy to actually be a good coach to lead us to some prominence going forward.
Yeah, I think that Saints fans wouldn't have an issue with that, Jono. I just think that Saints fans want Mickey Loomis to understand fully like where they are. And the fact that he pretends, I'm pretty sure like Mickey's a smart guy. Like he knows how Saints fans feel. It just seems like he doesn't want to give them the satisfaction of going to the podium and expressing like their thoughts and their viewpoints about things. He doesn't want to concede that, you know what, man, y'all got a valid point. So instead, I want to blame this. I want to look at that. And yeah, there is a fine line because yes, I am a member of the media. I take a lot of pride in that, but
you should.
Damn it, Jono, I grew up in the city, man. Like I'm from the 9. Man, dude, I tell y'all, man, I'm about as New Orleans as a high size on French, man. Bus ticket in my pocket, taking the RTA back in the day. It's hard for me to kind of differentiate that. And I look at what his team is and what they could possibly be. I just feel like he just needs to give Saints fans an indicator that I hear you. It's always seems like as if he comes to the podium, and this may not be the case, but he comes off as being tone deaf to what the Saints fans actually want. That and a part of me knows that he's not tone deaf because if you listen to him every now and then, he knows what people are saying. Yep. He just doesn't give give people the satisfaction. So I'm just saying, if he was to come to the podium and say, I know we had some down years. There was some decisions that were made. I can understand the frustration of Who That Nation, blase. I think people will probably get back in his corner. But the fact that he pretends like these problems don't exist and he doubles and triples down on the decisions just based on the fact that he wants to be right sometimes, I just feel like that's a recipe for disaster.
You preaching.
Let me read this. It says, y'all want McMillan because his size route running in a catch is okay. Matthew Golden is still the best wide receiver in this class than Jack Betch. Look, I have nothing against Matthew Golden, but Matthew Golden is Chris Olave. Like it's just the truth. Like he is Chris Olave. Look at his numbers. He's Chris Olave. Look at the way he runs. He's Chris freaking Olave. Like he's talented. He's gonna go to a team. He probably end up being like that number 1 guy. But the Saints already got a guy like that. The Saints been needing a big physical wide receiver for I don't know how long, man. Michael Thomas has left a huge void in that wide receiver room because nobody has been able to do the things that Mike T was able to do. You got that in Shaheed and Olave that can stretch the field. Chris route running. You need that guy that's going to demand a double team and that's going to be able to win those 50-50 balls. That's what you need. And it will also help Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed be better receivers because now they can just focus on that one-on-one matchup and win it more times than not. This is about playing chess, not checkers, right? That's what this is about. It's about strategy, man. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on McMillan?
My thoughts on that comment in general is that it just shows you the beauty of fanaticism. Like, no matter how highly lauded of a pick McMillan would be, if he is the pick, there's always going to be a fan that say, what the hell, we could have like, that's never going to be 100% satisfied. I did a skit when I first started. One of my first skits that blew up was like how fans react to the draft. I'll probably reincarnate that skit again this year when draft time comes to just show you like how fans are all over the place when it comes to the draft, which I think is the beauty of fanaticism. Like as you know, TJ, I embrace the hypocrisy and the stupidity that comes with being a fan. So whether you're a McMillan fan, whether you think there's another option in the draft that you think is a better player, That's all fine and well. That is your job as a fan. I will trust not that our drafts have been great, but we do hit even Zach Bond, who was a bust for us, was a great player. We just didn't utilize him right. Like, we find good players. So whoever we take, I'm going to be 100% support of, whether that's McMillan, whether that's Goodman, whether that's another position. It doesn't matter. He's going to be wearing our colors. He'll be a part of This Shit More Than the Game family now. I'll support it. I made some notes, TJ, because you were preaching before you got to that comment about, how Mickey Loomis is. One day, and I even mentioned this on my show today to my co-host, because he was like, oh, man, Mickey's probably officially on the hot seat, like, when it comes to this era. And I was like, I sincerely thought that. And I brought up the fact that you talked to an executive who told you about how they didn't understand quite how or why Gail was running the operations like they did. And I was like, yeah, man, like, TJ is telling y'all, like, TJ ain't just no Joe Blow's Saints fan on the street. Like, he has his connections, and not that the executive who told you that was like the be all end all of how the people's opinion should be. But it feels like Mickey doesn't have any pressure. It feels like the front office, but both teams on L-Line Drive don't have any pressure. I mean, not to steal it to the Pelicans, but the Pelicans haven't really. I mean, they made the playoffs, thankfully, good for them. But they've only won 2 playoff games in the past 5 years. Have never made. Zion has not played 6 years, 0 playoff games. He's going to go into 7 years because we're not making the playoffs this year. And nobody seems to be on the hot seat in New Orleans Pelicans land. Just like on Airline Drive, it doesn't seem like Mickey and Dennis Lucia are. And you mentioned about the press conferences. And I understand, as you mentioned on my show, when Mickey comes and does his press conferences, he's going to say a whole bunch of nothing. He's elite at that, as you say. Like, he can answer a question for 5 minutes and not answer the goddamn question at all. But I mentioned this just today on my Twitter because the Saints and the Pelicans had the gall. They have the gall to raise season ticket prices for both franchises this year. And they didn't even so much as put out a comment or a statement about the why. And I'm like, I know if somebody finally gets to them and asks them, okay, why are y'all adding money to the season ticket prices, given that both franchises have been pretty damn mediocre the past few years, they're going to give us a boilerplate answer, some PR type friendly thing about, the economy and whatever. We're still offering the best fan service to fans, yada, yada, yada. I get all that. But can y'all at least respect me as a fan to acknowledge that y'all are doing it? Can y'all at least just make me feel appreciated and grateful? And right now I feel like sometimes, as you say with Mickey, just not listening to fans are coming in all cocky and prideful and saying, I'm going to show y'all no matter what. That's fine. Prove us wrong. We want to be stupid when it comes to negative Saints takes. But goddamn, at least embrace us. Let us know that you guys are hearing us. Let us know that you guys don't take us for granted. I'm not saying y'all got to listen to the fans for every single thing. We're fans. We all got crazy ass opinions. I get that. But don't make us feel like, we're below y'all and that y'all could just continue to take advantage of us because we're diehard Saints fans. This shit more than the game. So y'all know we going to run it for y'all no matter what. You were preaching about that, TJ. You were preaching about that.
What you just said just made me think about a tweet that I put out. And, I was just trying to get feedback from the Who That Nation people that view this podcast. And, one of the comments that somebody left for me, he said that, I understand that you're trying to be, to the point and you're not trying to sugarcoat, but sometimes people don't want to hear all the time that the sky is falling. This is my whole point. Look, I understand that. But like you just said, people want transparency, right? If I would just sit up here knowing, no pun intended, the state of the Saints, and I just sit up here and say, oh, I know the Saints ain't made the playoffs in 4 years, but guess what? Man, Derek Carr is going to turn into an all-pro quarterback. This offensive line just going to all of a sudden look like Philly did. People think that I'm crazy. I'm all for, if the Saints make really good decisions. We said it at the beginning of the show, Jono. Justin Reed was a really good decision, right? Devon Gottschall was a really good decision. Give him credit, but at the same time, when you're doing some of the same things that basically has gotten you on the outside looking in, and you haven't learned from that, it doesn't seem like you're learning from that. You're not giving transparency, like you just alluded to about the uptick of the ticket prices, season tickets. What are we supposed to expect? When you don't give people transparency, people are going to start wondering what the heck is going on. And their mind is going to wander. Why is this happening? Why are they shutting us out? Then you started to come to your own conclusions, and they may be wrong. But whose fault is that? Seriously, whose fault is that? If somebody feels like Mickey Loomis is incompetent and lives in his echo chamber. Whose fault is that? If every time you see him, he's basically talking as if he doesn't understand or reads the pulse of the Who Dat Nation, although we know that he does. And the fact that you don't even bring that to the attention of the masses, it just frustrates people even more. So that's my whole point. Like, it's not about being Debbie Downer. It's about being real. It's about understanding where you are. People start to feel comfortable when you're talking to somebody that can relate to what you're actually going through. They open up. I mean, that's what I learned when I was in college when it comes to communication. When you started to give people, provide transparency for them, open yourself up, it makes other people open themselves up. It makes them feel more comfortable with you. People don't feel comfortable with Mickey Loomis because it seems like he's trying to be the most correct person in the room instead of trying to be the most results-oriented person in the room. That's a lot of Saints fans' gripe. That's my gripe. I mean, I don't have anything against Mickey Loomis, but that's just the reality, man. Since Sean Payton and Drew Brees has left, it seems like, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, plain and simple. Like, it just seems like, they left a huge void and you have not been able to pick up where they left off. So I think that's fair.
The data is the data. We have not made the playoffs for 4 straight years. What the hell are you talking about? We got to be positive or whatnot. They ain't giving us any reason to be positive. I said on my show for 4 years now. I told you on my show, I'm the bad luck charm. I've been doing content for 4 years. Is when we have gone on our non-playoff run. I say, give me a reason to make my apology as allowance to disrespect. But y'all don't do it. Saints, y'all don't do it. It's been 4 years. Y'all have not made the playoffs. So yes, fans are going to have some crazy, conspiracy theories or like takes about y'all because y'all have not given them a reason to be positive. I know a lot of fans, TJ, you being too negative. Sometimes, TJ, you and I have built enough of a platform that 1 minute you got fans saying we're the greatest thing in the world. The next minute you got a fan coming in and I mentioned saying that we're dumbasses. Why the hell do we have a platform? I get all that. Right. I get all that. That comes with the territory. But when the fans come in and say, oh, you're a downer, you're a Debbie Downer, you always want to, piss on us and tell us that it's raining. No, the Saints have not made the playoffs for 4 years. We want to be positive. We want to come on the show and say, who that? This shit more than the game. Mickey Loomis and Mickey we trust. From 2017 to 2020, Mickey was a god down here. They had t-shirts and Loomis we trust. We were telling all the cap nerds. We were battling for that man every single day on social media saying, we know what we're doing. Y'all focus on y'all national media teams like the Cowboys and stuff. We got what we're doing down here in New Orleans just right. Mickey has not given us any reason in the past 4 years to vouch for him. So until he gives us a reason to vouch for him, hell yeah, we're going to be a little bit more negative than positive. They haven't given us a reason to be positive, and they're taking us for granted. They raise the ticket prices and not even say, hey, Saints fans, this is why we're raising ticket prices. They just say, hey, thanks for being in that number. March on in September. Man, get out of my face with all that. So that's probably two of my biggest pet peeves. One, when fans are saying, oh, you're being too negative. What's there to be positive about? We're going on a longer streak, possibly than the Atlanta Falcons. If the Falcons eventually make the playoffs, they probably won't, but we'll be on a longer streak than them if not making the playoffs. And two, when fans say, oh, y'all don't know how good y'all had it. We used to be horrible in the 70s and the 80s. Who cares? You don't give a dog a steak and then say, go back to dog food. No. Sean Payton and Drew Brees gave us steak. We want steak. Just because the Saints used to be shitty in the 70s and 80s and early 90s doesn't mean I got to accept that they are shitty right now.
No.
Come on, man.
I mean, I 100% agree with what you're saying. I'm laughing because a part of me, I am like that early 90s like kid that grew up watching the Saints be terrible. But here's the thing. I used to watch these Saints games because I know the Saints aspired to be better, right? When I'm looking at the New Orleans Saints, I know that they need to turn the page, right? In some cases, not everybody, but they need to turn the page, need to take a really good look at some of the things that they're actually doing from a front office perspective. And they refuse to do that. It does frustrate you, man. It really does frustrate you. And I feel like any fan has a right to feel the way that they do. My problem is with some Saints fans out there that feels like their loyalty is tied to them being complicit with any decision that the New Orleans Saints organization make. Like you said, they haven't made the postseason in 4 years. People are going to be skeptical that the people that are in the front office still know what the heck they're doing. And you look at the downfall of the New Orleans Saints over the last couple of years, you have two of the most important individuals no longer with the team. So people kind of see like, oh, well, no Sean Payton, no Drew Brees, and now we back in the gutter again. It's like, man, like we need to figure this thing out. When they start making decisions that help Saints fans understand that, number one, they hear us, and number two, like we're gonna do something about it, you're gonna continue to have like that negativity. You're gonna have that skepticism, and it's well within the rights of the fans. Like you can't like put people in echo chamber. You can't get columns being wrote and making fans feel like, oh, something wrong with them. You can't gaslight them. You can't like shut out the noise. Like you got to embrace it. And that's like I don't like the way that they operate in that regard. Like you want the Saints fans to yell, lose their voices, going to work on Monday when you're winning.
Pay them the money.
But at the same time, you don't want to hold yourself accountable when the Saints fans, those same Saints fans that lose their voices, they challenge you to lose their voice, and you ain't giving it to them. So I don't know, man. You got to be able to give the fans something. Like you say, if you're taking the fans for granted if you feel like anything that you put out there, they're going to come and see. Sadly mistaken. They sadly mistaken.
I don't know. I'm a hypocrite because I'm still paying my season time. I felt so bad when like Fox and WWL TV asked me like to do be a part of a story about the ticket prices, and I was like, man, but I appreciate that I've become like a voice to the voiceless when it comes to New Orleans Saints fans. But I'm like, I'm also a hypocrite because I'm gonna yell and scream like I just did, but I'm gonna pay them that money. But that's just because I'm just so ingrained in this shit more than the game, right? And it's me, y'all. I'm the problem. Like Mickey and them know, like, oh yeah, we'll let Jono scream and all that. But we know that at the end of the day, when that deposit is due, we're going to get a deposit from Jono Barnes. I tell fans all the time, this money is the same color green whether you're a positive fan or a negative fan. So let fans how they want to fan. I think we're both saying the same thing, TJ, is that it would be nice for the Saints front office to stop one being in an echo chamber or a bubble. And I get that, when you're worth billions of dollars, it's easy to be in that echo chamber. But two, man, just show the fans some appreciation. Like show the fans that you're not taking us for granted. I understand again that they can't listen to everything fans say because there's so many wild takes out there or whatnot. But just show that you guys are grateful for our loyalty and that you guys don't feel like it is owed to you, because it is not owed. It is not owed. Not everybody's going to be a Jono Barnes and going to still pay the tickets no matter what.
Man.
All right. And
yeah. Look,
I love that. I'm sorry, TJ.
Yeah.
I love that. Even though you're a credentialed media member, like you said, the New Orleans comes out of you, right? Like you can be fair, but you can also be a fan still. You're kind of one of those new school media hybrid members that in 2025, it doesn't have to be like it used to be where if you were a traditional media member, you had to, keep it black and white and, you couldn't cheer for the team because you had to be professional and all that. No, you could be a professional, but still at the same time, have your personal, love or passion shine through as well. You do that very well. That's the new wave of media in 2025, man. I hope you know that you're one of the frontline soldiers leading that way here in New Orleans.
Well, look, man, I just feel like I have obligation to the members of the Who Dat Nation. Man, I mean, I could play the part, but I just don't want to play that part. I just think that we need to be fair about this. Like, if you go back and you look at in the archives, you'll see. Like, I don't go at anybody just for the simple fact of going at them. I don't even like that type of media, to be honest with you. Like, if you're giving that energy. Like, let's just say you're giving that energy because you're passionate behind what you're talking about, and it's organic. Like the way you talking right now is organic. I can feel it. The chat can feel it because it registers with you. Like you're ingrained in the city. So when you talk, it's not like you trying to beat up on people. You have this feelings, these thoughts, these views that you just want this team to be better, and that's the way that I look at it. So. I mean, I feel like as long as it's coming from an organic place, I'm cool with that. Not somebody that just wake up in the morning, look in the mirror like, how am I going to yell at the camera today? I don't like that type of stuff. Like I feel like that's the type of energy that people don't need because you're a character. And, I don't like characters when it comes to media. But
that's what.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. That's what I tell everybody who always comes to me and say, John, I'm thinking about getting into content. What's your piece of advice? I have a few pieces of advice, but one of my main things is, man, stay true to yourself. Never be, because it's a lot harder to not be true to yourself and live a second life than it is when you just are staying true to yourself. I am who I am. I'm imperfect. I'm a hypocrite. Like I said, I embrace my hypocrisy. Sometimes I have stupid takes or whatever. But one thing, fans, I think, which is why I've become such a, bit of a very, very niche but local celeb in New Orleans, that people see my passion, right? Like, I don't fake that. It is what it is. Sometimes the passion is stupid. Sometimes the passion is justified, but they see that, they resonate with that. And I've gotten this far in the content world and becoming, like, again, a voice of the voiceless for Saints fans is because I stayed true to myself. I didn't say, okay, I'm going to get on front of the camera and I'm going to polish myself up or make myself a little bit more different than I am. No, what people see when they see Jono Barnes is what they get. And I can do it a little bit better, TJ. I guess I'll have less of a stress about this than what you probably have to deal with, because you are a credentialed media member. Like, I ain't got to kiss ass, though. Like, I ain't got to say, oh, man, I don't want to go too hard on the franchise or the people in the front office because, man, I might, lose out on the opportunity to do something with the team or whatever. I love to do stuff with the team, but it ain't going to stop me from giving my true opinions. And giving my true opinions and passion got me Eric McCoy to come to my house on the show.
Right.
I still don't think it's been done where an NFL active player, a Pro Bowl player at that, not the 52nd man on the roster, a Pro Bowl player came to a fan's house. Players do podcasts and stuff all the time. Now, you have some amazing people on your platform, which is why I hate when you put me in that category, because I'm like, no, I'm like a tier below to the other guests you have had. But being myself has gotten me a Saints Pro Bowl player to come to my house. I'm saying, well, shit, clearly what I'm doing is working. I ain't got to fake it for anybody. I ain't got to lie to the Saints front office to try to get some connections or get my foot in the door. Again, I don't even need that as much as what you're trying to accomplish. But yeah, look what you have accomplished without selling out your soul, as I've seen you tweet many times. And I'd be like hitting that like button quick, because I'm like, I know what you're talking about, TJ. And I appreciate that. I think fans resonate with that. Maybe it has cost me opportunities with the Saints. Like the Saints for 4 years now, and the Pelicans. And I was a ball boy for the Pelicans for 13 years. They have not once come up to me and say, Jono, we like what you're doing. Hey, maybe we could do something small on the side or whatever. Not saying that they need me. I know that the Pelicans and the Saints are going to be just fine without any type of Jono Barnes collaboration. But I've gotten this far without a co-sign from the team. I promise you I'm never going to hide who I am. And I know that you're going to not hide who you are. No matter how many haters it gets you, no matter how many supporters it gets you, I love your authenticity, TJ. And that's why even before me and you became actual personal friends, I resonated with you, because I see that and I love that. And I hope you realize that. And I know everybody in the chat right now recognizes that. What I'm basically saying, y'all, is this shit more than the game. You got me started early on at 12:30, TJ. Come on now.
Look, but it's true. Like, I agree. I just think that you have to stay true to yourself. Like, you can't deny when you out here putting in that work, and people can't deny you. And like, if I gotta be that way, I say this all the time, just like you. If I gotta lie to kick it, I'm not trying to kick it. Look, National Association of Black Journalism, South Carolina Broadcasters Association, General Manager of WLGI. My work speaks for itself. Sideline reporter for Coastal Carolina University.
Go ahead now.
So if I can't get in, the door, what's the problem? You know what I'm saying? I'm at the NFL Combine. How did I get there? You get what I'm saying? So somebody respects my, what I do, as a member of the media. I ain't trying to lie to kick it. I'm just not, man. Like, if I feel like it's something worth celebrating, I'm going to do it. But if I feel like it's something that's questionable, yeah, you're damn right. I'm wonder what the hell going on. It worked. It works for you, works for me. And the people that's been rocking with me since I put a microphone in front of my face, or back in the day when I even have a microphone, they understand, the passion that I come with, and that's the people that I do this for. If I understand I'm gonna acquire your taste, so it is what it is.
I say I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but eventually you gotta drink up, motherfuckers. That's the wrestling fans in us, TJ. That's the wrestling fans in us.
Man, we've been cutting promos for the last 15. We haven't been in a promo class. There was a question that shouts out to Dalton. I'm actually trying to find. It was a question for me and you. Shouts out to Dalton. Here it is. It says TJ and Jono. It says here you go, you Jono.
I'm not you too, Dalton. It's not you too, okay?
But yeah, look, shouts out to Dalton, man. Hey, I promise you, man, like if we was to put Dalton on the show and he didn't have no name. And I said, "There's a special guest. Patrick Mahomes is here." You will swear that Patrick Mahomes is talking. He sounds exactly like Patrick Mahomes. But anyway, he says a question. He says, "Why do y'all think? Who do you think will be the wild card pick for the Saints with the 9th pick in the draft?" Like we talked about McMillan, but I mean that's just kind of somebody that I'm throwing out there. But if you had a choice, like if you had a player that you just loved in this draft that you can get at 9, who would it be?
Well, what's the definition of wild card? Like, is wild card? I'm taking that as like a pick that nobody expected.
Nobody really checking for, yeah.
But the thing is, like, with such a team that has a need at every position, is there really a wild card in 2025 for the New Orleans Saints? Like a wild card pick would have been Mahomes in 2017 for the Saints, because everybody would be like, "Well, hold on, we got Drew Brees. Why are we drafting a quarterback with a top 10 pick?" I don't think there's any position that we can draft in 2025 that is like, "Oh, wait, what are they doing?" Like, we need help at every position.
Man, for real.
That's a great question, Dalton, but it's a tough one because I just don't think that there is any player that, I mean, unless we take a flyer on like a unheralded player like we did Peyton Turner, well, then that's a wild card type thing. But no, I think that at the number 9 pick, we're going to draft the best player available, and there's no wild card. Maybe a quarterback in 2025 is a wild card to some fans. If we do try to get Shador, I don't think Cam would fall that far, but maybe Shador is seen as a wild card pick. But he still will be a need. We have needs at every position. So I'm sorry this is a non-answer, Dalton, but like I don't think there is a wild card pick. The Saints need help everywhere. So whoever we take is going to be a position of need and hopefully the best player available at that spot.
Yeah. I mean, a wild card would be with the 9th pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the New Orleans Saints select Ryan Fitzgerald, kicker.
yeah.
Like that would be a wild card.
Someone from South Carolina, Coastal University, huh?
Wait a minute, what's going on here? Like you said, there are so many glaring holes, and honestly, it goes back once again to something that we mentioned. We talked about you talked about that 06 draft when they got Reggie Bush and Roman Harper, et cetera. Like those guys became cornerstone players. Like the players, if the Saints do their homework in this draft, they can be those cornerstone players because they will fit at any position that is open if they play their cards right. I mean, this is an opportunity for the Saints to build through the draft. I like what they're doing when it comes to the coaching staff. And I do want to get your opinion on this. It seems the New Orleans Saints are bringing in more of teachers and good coaches, but more so teachers, developers than they have ever before, because we know that seems like it's been an issue when it comes to player development. We see the players live up to their full potential when they don't play for the Saints anymore. We mentioned Zach Bond, CJ Garner-Johnson, Trey Hendrickson. The list goes on and on. Like, so what are your thoughts about this new approach, them addressing the fact that they need to have players that need to develop in their system, bringing in these new coaches that have that reputation?
And, because I think your tweets mentioned about, like, we took a lot of guys from college, right? Who are used to dealing with kids. Well, I mean, I know we're keeping, like, Cam and DeMario and all that, but we are going to be going younger in these next few years. And so it's a good piece to have of guys who know how to resonate with the young guys, because it's going to be, you would think, a very young team after these next 2 seasons. So I like the approach. And these are for coach age. Like we're hiring younger coaches. We're not hiring like, veteran coaches. Maybe a few, but like a lot of these coaches that we've hired for the positional coaches are younger guys. Right. So it seems like they're saying, hey, these younger guys probably are going to be able to resonate more with these young guys that we are bringing on the team. So I'm never going to like say, oh, this coaching staff sucks until they give me a reason to say they suck. I like the coaching staff. That's one thing that I think Kellen Moore is knocking it out the park with. But it ultimately will all come down to it's a win-loss business with other results on the field. But from, just from seeing the vision so far in 2025 before the ball is snapped off in September, I like the approach of teachers, young teachers at that, because we're going to need teachers who can, relate to these young players who are going to be coming on board to the New Orleans Saints. And hopefully, it leads to a lot of these coaches and players growing old together with the New Orleans Saints, because then that would mean that we had a sustained run of greatness that us fans are desperately in need of.
Yeah. And also, I want to, my final question would be for you. We didn't really talk about some of these moves or some of the moves that the Saints have made when it comes to staying in house, bringing back Chase Young, Juwan Johnson contract extension, Cam Jordan restructuring his deal, making him more team friendly, as well as Tyrann Mathieu. And we mentioned Isaac Yiadom bringing him back, Will Clapp bringing him back. What are your thoughts about these free agent moves so far? I mean, we high on the Justin Reed, the guy show, but do you think that the New Orleans Saints should have possibly maybe took a look at some of these players and made the tough decision, like you mentioned? You alluded to Seattle. You alluded to some of these other teams that are letting go of fan favorites for the betterment of the team. What are your thoughts on that?
If they would have took that approach, I would have been A-okay with. Again, I'm a fan, so like I enjoy seeing guys like people that you grow attachments to, like DeMario and Cam and Tyrann. Maybe Taysom, hopefully, like staying in our team's colors. But if the Saints would have said, "Hey, we understand, y'all. It's been 4 years. We got to start anew," and would have had those players cut, I would have totally understood that as well. Again, I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to do it. You just had better have a strong foundational piece with draft picks. You better have a good head coach. And you better have ultimately at some point a great quarterback. We'll see what Derek Carr looks like with Kellen Moore in 2025. I think, again, I flip back and forth. I'm not mad at it. I'm happy to have Cam back. Personally, like I said, I'm selfish. I'm glad Juwan Johnson is back for selfish reasons. I think the Justin Reed pick is going to be a great move for us, whether you were trying to rebuild or whether you were trying to run it back, because I think in the 3-4 defense, he's going to shine. I think we're going to probably put him in the box a lot, but I think he's definitely going to improve our running game, our running defense a lot, because our running defense took a huge step back last season. And then you got Chase Young. If you look at the contract numbers, they scream like, wow, that's a lot of money for a guy who only had 5 sacks. But then you look at the rest of the DE market and you take into account that the cap is going up year after year. It's actually pretty solid numbers given his production. And he has that potential. You see it like on the field. Like he's a dominating presence. And he gets pass rush. He's just like, okay, Chase, you got to finish the play. I'm not mad at the offseason. I think it's a good offseason. It confirms to me that, again, Mickey is trying to say every single year, I'm going to compete and try to win the NFC South. Will it work? I don't know. If we're 4 or 5 wins in December, yes, I probably believe will be one of the main fans like screaming like, this is what happens when y'all didn't want to rebuild and now another year of no playoffs, and yet we're still just kind of kicking the cap can down the road and not actually, getting rid of some of these players who we should be having younger players starting their legacy in New Orleans Saints uniforms and not just doing, retirement tours for the Marios and Cam and all that. But I'm also, as a fan, very happy to have, the Mario back, to have Cam Jordan back, to have Tyrann back. Hopefully looks like they all might be finishing their careers in New Orleans. So there's no right or wrong answer for how fans feel. I'm conflicted, I guess would be my best answer, but I hope that it ultimately leads to success, even if it's not 2025. Hopefully, like just having that leadership and veteran presence from Cam and DeMario and Tyrann to teach these young players when they do come into the team, it leads to us having a stronger foundation in 2026 and 2027 and going forward. So I think it all, though, it's the Derek Carr cloud, right? Like that set everybody up to feel emotional about no matter what we did this offseason when they announced on Saturday, even though we all kind of saw it coming that Derek Carr was coming back. So unfortunately, we don't have that quarterback that everybody believes, oh, he is going to be the guy that can take us to prominence. And until we get that, and just like I said earlier, make my apology as long as my disrespect, Derek Carr, prove us wrong. We want to be proven wrong.
Right.
Until we have that quarterback, though, we
kind
of feel like we're stuck in no man's land.
Man, somebody asked about if Shadur Sanders was there at 9 or a quarterback was there at 9, would you take him?
I've been very heavy on the march for Arch. I keep feeling like it's destiny. Like we haven't drafted a quarterback since Archie Manning. Like how poetic would it be to draft Archie Manning? I know that's a stupid approach and it's unrealistic. It's not well, because you can't like say, oh, we want to lose a certain amount of games, and we don't even, to be honest, I'm a hypocrite. We don't even know how Arch Manning is. Like we've seen flashes of him, but we don't know if he's going to be a great quarterback.
We can see that name on the back of that jersey.
So exactly, we see that the jersey sales of Manning again in New Orleans. Like that's going to be you can't. Boy, it's going to be the Saints print money if we get Arch Manning. So that's kind of like just my personal like, oh man, I really want Arch Manning, even though I know that there's no logic with that take so far. But if it is Shedeur Sanders, I like Shedeur Sanders. He impressed me in Colorado. I know he's a very polarizing figure for multiple reasons with the media and fans, but I would not be mad with Shedeur Sanders. In fact, even if you're not a big Shedeur Sanders fan, he's probably one of the sexier picks that if we drafted him, that would definitely get even the most jilted of Saints fans back on the bandwagon and saying, yo, this dude Shedeur is probably going to be a beast. And TJ, I'm unapologetic about this. I said this when Aaron Glenn was a candidate. I, as a black man, I am rooting for black people. So like to have a black quarterback, and I was hoping for a black coach. Not that I'm mad that we didn't get one, but I'm like, hey, I think it's a cool thing to have in a black city, a black coach or a black quarterback. I would love to have a black quarterback. So I wouldn't be mad at Shedeur Sanders. I just feel like Arch Manning is the guy who I've kind of hatched my bets on. So we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be a different when it comes to like controlled media. Like I feel like if Arch Manning, like even the way he operates, like you don't really see Arch Manning out here like, on social media, all that stuff. But when you look at Shedeur, he's so polarizing, and he's going to bring like outside media with him. And I just wonder, like, will the New Orleans Saints be okay with that? Because they like, they like the closeness of the local media. Not too many people, like, unless like they have like a primetime game or something going on, trying to fly in and see what the Saints doing. I think they like it that way. But with Shedeur, you got a lot of stuff that's coming with it. So I'm just wondering, like, on that alone, will it be like, one of the main reasons why the Saints wouldn't pick him? But I just feel like if a guy has talent, you need a quarterback. You making moves like you ain't gonna pick at 9 next year.
Right.
So you might as well pick the quarterback, if you don't feel like you're gonna be picking in the top 10.
Look, we and you don't get paid enough for this, so it's on Jeff Island and his scouts. But like, I would hate for this to be another Lamar Jackson situation where Shedeur winds up being a star player, and we're like, God damn, well, he was right there for the Saints, and if he falls to number 9, and we didn't take him. So I would say this: they better do their homework very, very diligently on Cam and on Shedeur and maybe Jackson Dole, like the other quarterbacks, because if either of these guys fall to 9 and go on to be extremely successful, and we are still like a year or two from now stuck in mediocrityville, the voices of the fans are going to be very, very loud.
Yeah, man. I mean, you passing up on quarterbacks. I don't look at them passing up on Mahomes in 2017. I mean, I just see Kansas City jumped in front of them. Like, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, like these are guys that could have been on your football team. You just decided not to draft them. So if a quarterback is there at 9, like I said, you don't feel like you're going to pick at 9. The moves that you're making indicating as if you feel like you're going to contend. So you feel like you're not going to pick at 9. While you're here, just go ahead and pick the best, player available and somebody that can be able to be, the future of your franchise potentially.
Even if he has to sit, right? Even if he has, Mahomes sat for a year behind Alex Smith. Like, I wouldn't mind if they say we really believe in Shedeur Sanders and we're going to let him sit behind Carr. Now, I know fans will be pissed off if Derek Carr starting in September and Shedeur Sanders is on the bench, but I don't mind a young guy. They just have to have 100% belief, the scouts. And, when it comes to talent, that overrides everything. So if the scouts go to Jeff Ida, Mickey Loomis, and say, yo, this kid is going to be a star, I don't want to hear anything about, but what about his outside life and, the flash that comes from being Deion Sanders' son and everything that comes with all of that. I don't care about that. If this guy's going to be a star and he's the most valuable position in the league, which is quarterback, you take him. But I'm going to leave that up to the scouts to see if they feel like he's going to be worthy of that. I just hope it's not a Lamar Jackson situation. I do hope that it is not a Lamar Jackson situation.
I'm gonna say this, man. If Shedeur Sanders ends up backing up Derek Carr, they're gonna have to they're gonna have to tie Derek Carr down for him not to play. Like if he have to deal with an injury, like he ain't about to do that, boy. He gonna go out there. Boy, he gonna limp out there on that field. He ain't about to let that young dude get that shot.
Well, we'll see how. Yeah, we'll see how quick he waives that trade clause if we do push Shedeur in a game at some point and he balls out. Because they're gonna be like, you know what? Maybe I do want to go to another city for real.
But look, man, all these things, man, is just great talk. I mean, I can't remember the last time I seen a more active Saints off season. But Jono, man, I want to say thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you stopping by. Before you go, man, let everybody know how they can get in touch with you.
I try to make it simple for the fans. So at Jono Barnes on every platform, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, MySpace, OnlyFans, Jono Barnes on everything. If I know TJ has this amazing Saints platform again, over 200 people at a 12:30, 1:30 Eastern time on a Thursday afternoon. That's incredible. That's incredible, y'all. I do my streams at peak hours and I get excited when I get 50, 60. So I just love and I'm so humbled that TJ has me on his platform to talk Saints, as y'all I'm sure I've seen in the past hour, our passion. Like we don't do this for clicks. We don't do this for money. I mean, we like what comes with the content creation world and the media world, but we do this because we're passionate about this. And I love that. And I think if you guys are new to Jono Barnes, if this is your first time hearing of me, you'll see that. And then you'll remain true to Jono Barnes. So at Jono Barnes on all platforms, Jono Barnes on YouTube. So subscribe to that. And of course, This Shit More Than the Game. Honestly, if you just search This Shit More Than the Game on Google, if you want a cool shirt like this will come up, but you'll see all of the Jono Barnes content as well. And TJ, again, I am just so appreciative and humble of you having me on this amazing platform that you've built. You motivate me. I see the stuff that you're doing. I'm like, man, I hope to get like to TJ's level one day where I can do a live stream at 11:30 a.m. and know that I'm gonna have at least 175 people. And I know that you get a lot of flack. And then it comes with the territory, right? I do too. You get flack on social media. I put up a clip of me and you talking about the Crystal Olave one because I kind of knew. I was like, okay, that's one will be one that I know I'm gonna get engagement on. When you saying that you didn't believe Crystal Olave was a true number one, you say he was a great receiver. You just didn't think he was ready for a number one role like a Michael Thomas or something. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there was some fans who don't even follow me who were like going off on you. And I'm like, well, the good thing is TJ has thick skin. He can and there you go. I knew it. I was hoping that the real MVP of the show came on. Yeah, I was like, man, I go lie. I was gonna be like, I'm gonna feel a little player if your son didn't come on because I'm like, damn, like when Jono Barnes, he don't want to. He done came in here.
He done came in here at least 2 or 3 times, man. So he a little bit under the weather today, man. He got a little sinus cold right here, so we have to keep him at home, and he not feeling his best, man. But
nothing could keep the little one down.
Yeah, you can't keep him down, man. So he wanted to show up, man. So
well, that's because he is This Shit More Than the Game certified. And TJ, you are This Shit More Than the Game certified. I love that you take everything on the chin. You stay true to who you are and authentic to yourself, man. And again, I appreciate you having me on this platform. So everybody who's new, please remember that it's shit more than a game.
Yeah, man, straight up, man, 100%. I echo your sentiments, man. I just appreciate your time. It's always great, man, when we get a chance to talk, discuss Saints and other things as well. I really do appreciate the Who Dat Nation for stopping by. Please subscribe to Jono's channel as well as the State of Saints podcast. Hit that like button, man. I know y'all enjoyed this 1 hour that we spent together, man. So make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel. You see that he brings the energy and the passion, and that's the type of Saints fans and the Saints platforms that we need to support. So make sure that y'all hitting that subscribe button. Make sure that y'all follow Jono on social media, and so we all can be eating up in here, right? We all can be eating. We all can be
like a big old gobble pop, baby.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Okay, that was actually a mistake. I forgot to say till next time.
Usually I get butt naked after the live stream. I'm glad.
Keep your clothes on. Till next time. All I gotta say is, you want to say it?
Who dat?
Who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I gotta say is, who dat?